Hi everyone! So today we'll be learning how to make these super adorable knitting themed ornaments. So here's the small size that we're going to make and then the large size that I'll show you first. And these make great gifts if you have any friends who are knitters or you're part of a knitting group and you want to give everyone a little present. The original inspiration for these came from an ornament I saw at Joann's, so I'll insert a picture of that here. And when I saw that ornament, I thought, well, I could make that myself and probably for quite a bit cheaper. So these actually come out to about $2 each, or less than $2 each if you make the smaller size. And so yeah, let's get started. First, I'm going to show you everything you need to make them, and then we're going to go through the steps. So first we're going to make the little knitting needles. These ones I did straight needles. These ones I decided to go with double pointed. And yeah, so we're going to show you everything you need and then go through all the steps of how to make them. Everything will also be linked to the full instructions in a blog post down in the description box. And then of course, if you have any questions, feel free to leave them in the comments down below. Okay, so the supplies we're going to need to make this ornament is going to be, first off, let's start with the yarn. So the yarn I'm going to be using today is the Hometown USA, and this is the Razorbacks colorway. So just a nice red and white stripe, very candy cane-esque. And if you're looking for a similar weight, this one is super bulky and it has the 6. And I kind of just partitioned off part of it just to see how much I'll actually use. This is about 1/3 of the full container. I also have my kind of form that I'm going to be using. This is about 3 1/3 inches in diameter, and I got this from the Dollar Tree, so it's $1 for one of these. Some alternatives that I found are also these Craft Artisan floral foams, and you get a bunch of different sizes. You could try these as well and just make a little bit smaller knitting needles, and these are also from the Dollar Tree. Next up, you're going to need just a tapestry needle and some scissors. So the final set of supplies you'll need is everything to make the little knitting needles. So what I have here is just a dowel that I got at Joann's, and this is the 3/16 of an inch, and it was originally a yard long. I've already cut it down though. So what I did is I just cut off 2 6-inch pieces. And how we're going to make the little points of the knitting needle is I'm going to use some sandpaper. So here I just have one of the sanding blocks. This one's the medium grade, or the smoothing. You could also use the more coarse sandpaper if you wanted to. It doesn't really matter, just whatever you have on hand. Might just take you a little longer or shorter to make the knitting needles. So now let's get started with our first step, which is sanding down our knitting needles. Now to make the knitting needles, all we have to do is sand down one of the ends. So to show you an example, I've previously made this set of knitting needles. So all I did was sand down one side on each of the dowels and then also smoothed off the other edge. So here we're just gonna take our 2 6-inch pieces, and you can see they're a little rough on the top. So we're just gonna smooth that side up a little bit and then also just move it back and forth, shaping the top. Now, when I did this previously, it took a little while because I don't have the coarsest sandpaper, so I'll definitely speed through this part. And I'm also gonna wear some gloves just to make sure I don't damage my nails or anything like that. So I'll see you in a bit. I finished making both of my knitting needles, and I actually decided along the way that I wanted to make them double pointed knitting needles, so I just sanded down both sides. So I think they turned out quite nice. It takes a little while, but I think it's worth it. And now the next step is going to be actually to put them into our foam, or our floral foam. And first I just actually wanted to point out that the reason I got the one that's more textured, they have 2 versions of these, right? They have the ones that are very smooth and then they have the ones that are textured. And I actually got the one that's more textured just so then when we're wrapping the yarn around, it's easier for the yarn to stay in place and we don't have to use hot glue and things like that. So the way I want to place them is I want to basically place them so that they're an X inside of this. So I just kind of need to put them in not too far back, so fairly close to the front, and make sure that they don't hit each other either. So I'm going to need to layer them a little bit. Okay, so here they are. You can see I put them fairly close to the front if we look at it from the side. And I actually, when I originally tried this, I had to try a few times to make sure that this one wasn't hitting this one because they kept on hitting each other, but finally got them to a place that I liked, and now they're securely in place. So the next thing we have to do is start wrapping our yarn around it. I want it to look kind of like a messy ball of yarn and not perfectly wrapped. So actually it'd be great if I could get it to look something like this one because I think this looks nice and cute. I'm gonna hold the yarn in place and then wrap on top of that tail. And then just slowly turn it as I'm going around, making sure that I'm getting all the way around with the yarn so it doesn't slip. And don't worry if you have little spots like this, because we'll get it during another rotation of wrapping. Feel like your yarn's starting to slip too, just unwrap a little bit, figure out where it started, and then keep on going. Okay, so I finished wrapping. You can see there's not really any styrofoam you can see in there. If you wanted to, like, oh, there's a little spot, you can just kind of move the yarn to cover it up. Don't move it too much though, or else it'll start sliding off. So what I'm going to want to do is I'm going to want to find wherever the top is going to be for my ornament. So if this is the front, I think for me this side would be the best top. And I have about, let's say maybe about an 18-inch tail. You're going to want to leave yourself plenty of room to work with. So I'm just going to thread this through the tapestry needle. You're going to need a pretty big opening on your tapestry needle to get this through because it's pretty bulky yarn. Get the top again. So I'm going to want my hook to go this way. So I'm going to take this and I'm going to move away the layers a little bit and go underneath some of these to start. This way we can move these layers back on top of that little opening when we're all done. And now I'm going to want to create a loop. So I think that would be a good loop size. So I'm going to go through one more time. This time I'm not going to pull it all the way tight. I'm going to leave it with however long I want it to be. And now I'm just going to use one of these strings down in here to tie a knot with. So I'll probably do a double knot just to make sure it's nice and secure. Oops. But again, make sure you keep your loop. Don't pull it as tight as I just did. I'm going to do it twice. Okay. So now to prevent this from looking like a little tail, I'm just going to weave this, or not really weave it in, just bring it through a little further and then cut off this little bit that I have left over. Okay. So now you can't see where that ends. And then of course I'm just gonna bring this all on top of the knot that I just tied. Now here is my finished ornament and I think it looks great. Of course I'll leave all the details for everything I used and a written description on a blog post that I'll link down below. And of course, if you have any questions, feel free to leave them in the comments. Just because I'm kind of curious, I'm gonna see how they look on these, the largest size in this pack. So this is the 1.9 inch. And these are about 4.5 inch long knitting needles that I made. The smaller size. I think this one looks really cute as well. So for a size comparison, they look really cute next to each other.